thank you for voting in this year's Best of Northern Utah contest, presented by the Cater Shop Menswear Store. A record 816,000 votes were cast this year, and over 1,500 businesses were nominated. Soon we'll announce the gold and silver winners, and you'll be able to pick up your own free copy of the Winners Magazine. Please support all of our local businesses and shop local. Local business is the heart of our community. Thanks again for your support in this year's Best of Northern Utah contest.
Best of Northern Utah.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And we welcome you to the show on a beautiful Saturday morning. We have been looking forward to this day for the last week. Have we not, Mark?
Absolutely.
Oh, after all the rain.
It's been kind of wet.
This is what we have been looking forward to for, the last 7 days at least. Good morning. It's great to have you along with us. I'm Will Feelwright, and joining us in the studio this morning, Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. And, when you look at everything that's happened in the last week, we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of moisture, some frost damage, and Mother's Day is just a week away.
It's coming up,
we got to talk about Mother's Day, too.
Beautiful morning, though. It's like the trees are in bloom. There's a little snow on the mountains. The sky's blue. It's got sun shining. Doesn't get any better.
Jumped on the bike this morning, and it just felt so good to actually not have any rain. Actually could see the sun, some blue skies.
It's been cold.
Yeah.
It's been really chilly the last couple of weeks, so it's made it difficult for people to get outside and do some things. I cut potatoes to plant just over a week ago, and I'm still waiting to plant them.
They're still sitting there waiting.
Still sitting there. Yeah, still sitting there. But, I went out last night and checked my beehive, and they're doing great. So
nice.
Excited about that. Yeah. So that's good. Been trying to get my giant pumpkins outside as well, too, and still waiting on those.
Yeah, just been so wet and cold.
It has.
A little leery about trying to put anything in right now.
This week, a lot of people lost tomato plants and lost flowers, and it was pretty cold. What was it, Wednesday morning?
Yeah.
I think it was Wednesday morning.
Let's see, I want to say, if I go back and check the weather charts, I think we hit 28 that morning.
Yeah, cold enough to do damage to a lot of different plants. I saw a lot of sweet potato vines that were dead, and saw some sad-looking tomatoes and a few other things like that. So that's something we can definitely talk about on the show this morning, is a little bit of frost protection, because we might get some more frost this week. But at Anderson's this weekend, we've got some great things happening. Compost tea is brewing, and so it's time to start filling up on compost tea. If you're getting out there and doing some planting, it's a great time to get your 1 gallon or your 2.5 gallon containers and get going on your compost tea with our free refill program. We also have our Mother's Day scavenger hunt going this weekend. So it started yesterday and goes through today, and we have some really great prizes to give away. So all the businesses that are participating have donated a prize to give away, and our grand prize is worth about $900. And you start the scavenger hunt on Center Street, right there on the north side of the arch. And there's clues, and there's puzzles, and there's games to take you all through downtown to all the different locations. And then if you finish the scavenger hunt and submit your entry, you'll be entered in to win our grand prize, our $900 grand prize. So we had a bunch of people doing it yesterday.
Very cool.
Had a couple people get lost. But,
that's not a bad thing.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. So I think everybody had a good time. It's the clues are pretty clever, and it's pretty fun time. So scavenger hunt's going on right now. And then yesterday we got in 500 roses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the roses came in yesterday, and I've got them. They came in on these nice tall pallets, And I was about ready to have the crew start taking them off, and then I looked at the weather, and I was like, these guys came in from Northern California, and it's supposed to maybe snow on Monday, so we're like, maybe we'll keep them on the racks just so we can move them as necessary, just in case. But there's some gorgeous roses that have come in, and some of the hardy cherries came in as well too. So there's Romeo and there's Juliet. And those are some of our really hardy cherry bushes. Had a lot of people that have been looking for those recently. They look really nice. They're about 3-4 feet tall, so they're growing like crazy. So those came in with the roses. So 500 roses came in yesterday.
Perfect for Mother's Day.
Yeah, and a bunch of trucks came in this week too. So we got more shrubs. We got the rest of the bare root trees all potted up, and most of the bare root fruits are all potted up as well too. So this is a good time. I got some more Joan J. raspberries in this week too. So we've been kind of struggling trying to get raspberries this year, but I found some more Joan J. So we've got those in bundles of 5 if you want to try a thornless ever-bearing raspberry. So it's quite unusual, and it's a really, really good raspberry. So
tasty.
Yeah. Oh, super tasty. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, really, really nice. So scavenger hunt, compost tea, roses came in, all kinds of plants. Greenhouses are full of stuff.
Yeah.
Whether you want to plant them or not.
Yeah, may want to just hold on to them for another week or so. We're going to kind of watch and see what this forecast. It is calling for a chance of some rain and snow, so we'll see. However, there was also supposed to be rain and snow on Friday, and so
right.
So and we dodged that. So
there was a little bit of hail I saw at the store, so it was relatively accurate, I guess.
And depending upon where you're at, of course, the weather could be even worse. So as we open up the phone lines, we'll start off with one of our first callers who knows all about very cold temperatures this morning. Dennis is joining us on the line from Bear Lake. And Dennis, I'm sure you've had some very cold temperatures where you're at.
It's been a little bit nippy, but it keeps the mosquitoes and the tourists down, so we're good.
And hopefully the grasshoppers too, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So what can we do for you this morning, Dennis?
Well, I'm kind of on the dark side of your show right now. I had to cut out a box elder tree and left a really low stump on it.
Okay.
And as much as I like my box elders, this one just had to go. And I don't want it to grow back, and I'm just wondering what I can do to kill the stump.
Oh, great question. Great question. I've had a whole bunch of people in the store doing similar projects where occasionally you just have a tree that just needs to go, and we don't want it sending up suckers and coming back. And so right where you've made the fresh cut, how big around is that stump?
Well, the stump in total is probably about 25 inches.
Okay. In diameter or circumference?
Diameter.
Okay, so that's a pretty good sized tree. So the best product for killing that is the brush and stump killer from Fertilome, and the active ingredient in there is called triclopyr. And the brush and stump killer, you don't want to put it in the center. We want to put it all the way around the outside edge of that stump. So nice, clean, fresh cut, and then you can take like an old paintbrush or some sort of device to kind of spread that around. But you want to put it on the first inch from the exterior, just right where the bark is attached to the stump of the tree. Just do that first inch all the way around, and then sometimes I'll paint it down the sides as well too, and it'll absorb it in and run it down through the root system and then kill that stump out. It'll take 3 or 4 weeks for it to get all the way down through the root system and take the whole thing out, but it will work very, very well. And once it's dead, then we've got some products that you could use to get it to decompose faster if you want to break it down quicker. So,
wow.
Yeah. So there's like the stump remover from High Yield. That's where we'll drill holes into it, and then we're going to put this in the holes, and then it will speed up the decomposition of the stump, so it'll deteriorate a lot faster. But we got to get it killed first. So brush and stump killer from Fertilome, right on that first inch all the way around the circumference of the tree.
So just to understand, I'm curious. So it probably goes down through the cambium layer?
Correct.
And kills the tree that way?
Yep, you got it.
Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't know there was such a thing, and I was ready to drill some holes in it and pour some other stuff in it. But this sounds like the right ticket.
Yeah, and the nice thing with the brush and stump where you just treat that first inch all the way around, if you have shrubs or trees or anything nearby, it won't bother those at all because we're not getting it into the soil where the other plants could pick it up. And so this will work great. It'll be safe for your surrounding plants and very effective at getting rid of that stump for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I guess you guys have it in stock?
We sure do. We do all the time. And it's great. Looks like a great weekend to go for it, Dennis.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling this morning. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right, we will.
Well, that frees up the phone lines at 753-5868 and 1-800-369-5868. And we were talking earlier about the cold temperatures.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that I've had around the neighborhood is, how do you tell if something was damaged from the frost? And I said, well, here, let me show you. See these bleeding hearts? See how they have that glossy look on them? Yeah, they're dying.
They got frozen, yeah. You see a lot of black plants.
Mm-hmm.
So when the plants get frozen, especially tender plants, what happens is the cells inside the plant, they have some sort of elasticity to them, and so when they freeze, sometimes they can expand enough that they won't burst. But plants that are not very hardy, when those cells freeze, they burst, and when they burst, the plant turns black.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of black leaves and tops. So we've seen potatoes that have gotten nipped, but the potatoes will come back out of it. That's okay.
Yeah,
but beans and squash and corn. Tomatoes, peppers, a lot of flowers, marigolds, they will absolutely turn black. Sweet potato vines, I had somebody bring some in yesterday that participated in the planting event last week, had them on their deck, thought they'd be protected, and it froze them right on their deck. So they were some really sad-looking sweet potato vines. So they brought their containers back in. We helped them replant.
Yeah, and then the other thing to look for is if the plant just droops over and just falls over.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another good sign of some overall
Fortunately,
damage.
we have not planted anything that is not hardy at our place yet at home. But I was considering planting my giant pumpkins out, and then I decided I'd wait until after this cold snap and then get those planted because they are super, super sensitive. So what I've done to kind of warm things up, and there's a lot of different things you can do. So hot cap or a cover, a frost cloth, will give you somewhere between 2 and 3 degrees of protection. So instead of freezing at 32, 31, it'll get you down to 30, maybe 29 degrees, and still protect the plants inside. With the hot caps or with the frost cloth, you've got to make sure it doesn't touch the plant. And so if you're covering your plants up, that's great, but make sure there is an air pocket between the covering and the plants underneath that you're trying to protect, because it will freeze right through the fabric and damage the plants in there. So I've actually seen frost penetrate the fabric or the plastic that people put over, and it'll just kill them right through it. And so make sure there's an air pocket, and that will protect your plants 2 to 3 degrees. I have some harder plastic protectors. They're called Grow It Now, and they come from Idaho Falls, so we'll consider them locally made from Idaho Falls. And they are a harder plastic. The tops are collapsible, so you can close them up when it gets cold. You can open it up so they vent during the day when the sun comes out, and they will actually give your plants about 5 degrees of added protection. And so those Grow It Nows are really, really nice. It's a harder plastic, but they will come apart, and you can store them flat. So if you don't have a lot of storage space, you don't want these big tall cones, because they're about 20 inches tall and probably 14 to 16 inches around at the bottom. If you don't have space to store those, they'll just pop apart, and you can store them flat.
Break them down.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they're really nice, and they'll last for years if you don't leave them out all year long. Sometimes I leave mine out to get my tomatoes and peppers to grow faster, and so they'll start to break down a little bit. But those are really great plant protectors. They're called Grow It Now. They'll give you 5 degrees of added protection, so they'll get you down to about 27, maybe 26, and then it will start to damage your plants. Hopefully, got my fingers crossed, we should not get that cold again. If we get some more frost, it's going to be a light frost, and it'll do damage. But if you got a little bit of protection on your plants, they'll be good. If you use a product like a wall of water or an aquadome. And I wish we could get the aquadomes right now. So the company that makes the Grow It Nows, they make the aquadomes as well too. And they've had problems with production, and so they were leaking, and so they're trying to get those problems fixed. And we were hoping that they would have them available this year, but still no aquadomes. I'm still using mine, but I had a few that broke last year. They're just starting to show their age. They're probably 15 years old. So they're starting to get a little brittle.
Yeah.
So like one of my stacks tipped over when I was like hauling it out to the garden, and just like shattered.
Pieces of plastic everywhere.
Yeah, I was like about ready to cry, but that's okay. So the walls of water and the aquadomes, they will give you about 10 degrees of added protection. So double what the Grow It Nows will do, because of the water provides that extra insulation. And I've actually seen walls of water freeze solid, but the plants inside were protected, because as the water freezes, it releases a little bit of energy, which is heat, and it traps that heat inside there and protects your plants. And so 10 degrees of added protection on a wall of water or aquadome. Yeah. So you could absolutely put your tomatoes out right now with the wall of water or aquadome, and probably with the Grow It Nows, because if we get frost next week, it looks like it's going to be like 30 degrees, maybe 31, and they would be well protected with that. Okay. Yeah, especially after a day like today, get things warmed up. Yeah. So they should be good. So for my giant pumpkins, I've got some cold frames, and so I've got some 4 foot by 4 foot cold frames. And we're going to put those giant pumpkins in there. Now they've only been growing for 3 weeks. I've got them in 3-gallon pots, and the root systems are starting to grow out the bottom of the pots.
Wow,
yeah,
they are that
so
fast.
they're growing that fast. Yeah, they're huge. They're probably 16, 18 inches across, maybe even a little bit bigger, and they're only 3 weeks old.
And have you been treating it with like kangaroo or anything like that?
I've been doing all kinds of special
compost
things with them, yes.
A little Red Bull and with it.
Definitely, we've tried a couple of different new things, but what's been interesting is we germinated them, and we started some in like a paper towel, and I started some in some peat pellets.
Oh.
And I started some in 4-inch pots, and they've all come on. They all germinated about the same time, and they've all been growing about the same rate. And so I didn't really notice any difference between the 3 different methods. But what I did notice is when we transplanted the plants into the 4-inch pots, that's always a possibility where they're going to go through transplant shock, because they're going from one location to the next. No transplant shock with my new special treatment on them. And then when we took them from the 4-inch pots, which we transplanted them after about a week in the 4-inch pots, they had filled the pots full of root system again, transplanted those up into 3-gallon pots, and now they filled those, and no transplant shock as well either. So they're going crazy. So I'm hoping to get those outside, because get them outside with the sunshine and some nice warm days like today, and they'll grow 6 or 12 inches a day. Yeah. so they'll go crazy. So we don't want to give away all the secrets.
They're going to take over your garden.
Yeah, we won't give away all the secrets, but I have been using compost tea and kangaroots on them, and then a little bit of Grow Big, just for some micronutrients. Yesterday I used a little bit of iron combo chelate from Bicor on them, just so they'd have a little bit of micronutrient package as well too. So that should really perk them up as well. But yeah, they're growing like crazy. Been focusing on getting those roots really, really healthy, and then probably use some biochar and some Garden Max and some other things to kind of build the soil up where they're going to get planted. They're going to go out in the cold frames, and I might throw a little something out there to generate some heat, a couple light bulbs or something, just to generate a little bit of heat. Yeah,
keep
just
the soil temperature.
Yeah, and at night, if it gets really cold, it'll help protect them. So just generating a little bit of heat with an incandescent light bulb. Do not use an LED light bulb.
It won't do any good. It'll be pretty.
It doesn't generate any heat. Yeah, so I'm going to throw some standard light bulbs out there, and they actually put off enough heat to keep the plants from freezing inside of a cold frame, even if it gets into the mid-20s. So yeah. So we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah, it should be quite interesting. So that's how to protect your plants if you want to put some stuff out early, and approximately how much protection they're going to get, whether it's 2 to 3 degrees or 5 degrees or 10 degrees. You have some really good options if you want to take some chances and get a few things planted. But we're moving into that territory where it's about time for the warm season crops. So You could probably get away with planting beans and corn because they're going to take a week or 10 days for them to come up. So here it is, the 4th of May. If it takes 10 days for them to come up, we're now the 14th of May, and hopefully we'll be past frost at that point. But traditionally May 20th is around our last frost, so just be aware that it's going to be chilly for a little bit. And it looks like end of next week we're going to have some great weather again, so we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Now, you've changed things at the seed counter over the years, and this is probably a good time to remind people, if you're wanting to get seeds and you don't want to come in and stand in line, you can do it online now.
Yeah, and we're fulfilling orders pretty much every day online, and that's a great option if you live farther away and just want to stop in and pick up your seeds and go. But it's interesting. We've got that option for people where you can go onto our website. There's descriptions of all the vegetable seeds and flower seeds. There's pricing. You can order whatever you want. We'll package it up, and you can come pick it up. People still like to come in the store and watch us weigh them up at the scale. So we've had a few good-sized lines this year, but people have taken our advice and have kind of started coming in earlier to get their seeds, so they've got them and are ready to go. But a lot of our customers just enjoy coming in, hearing what everybody else is buying, listening to what the new varieties are, and they're enjoying coming into the seed counter. And of course we've got that new hickory top on the seed counter
that you put in last year.
So it looks really, really good. And then we just put some new shelves in last week, and so we've got some new shelves that match the drawers as well too in front. So we've done some major upgrades at the seed counter, and it's turned out really, really nice. So even on a sunny day like today, it's going to be busy, but we won't have like huge lines. We don't have a long wait at the seed counter, but there's some gorgeous flowers and plants, and we just got a couple truckloads of shrubs in, and the 500 roses. So the store is well stocked. Unfortunately, the parking lot has stuff everywhere. Which is,
that's the nature of the way it is.
That's one of the side effects is, all that product comes in and we're trying to find place for it, and we're potting up all the bare root things. There's just kind of racks of plants like all over the place. So we'll take it.
Okay.
That's kind of nice.
Well, if you have a question for Mark or a comment, phone lines are open at 753-5868 and 1-800-369-5868. With Mother's Day just a week away, we've got the Mother's Day scavenger hunt going on, but then also I'm sure a lot of people oftentimes come in and say, hey, I'm looking for a good plant for Mom. What would be a good option?
Yeah, good plant or good gift item. Yeah. The roses, of course, make great gifts. Yeah, there's some really gorgeous roses. And then we've got some amazing flowering shrubs in right now. And by next weekend, for Mother's Day, we're going to have even more. And so there's some beautiful hydrangeas that I've got in stock right now, and more coming. And then, there's some really cool stuff. I've got bougainvillea and mandevilla coming in next week, and some citrus plants. So we're going to have like lemon trees and lime trees, and I don't think we brought any oranges in, but I think there's some kumquats as well too. So those would be really fun. They're very different. Got some jasmine and some gardenias coming in, and they're not. Keep in mind, they're not super hardy to go outside, but you can still put them in a pot and enjoy them, and then bring them in the wintertime with all these tropicals that we've got. So the mandevilla and the bougainvillea, they won't make it through the wintertime, but they do make really amazing gifts. And then we have a lot of flowering trees in stock right now that are gorgeous, which would also make superb gifts for Mom. And then inside the store, we just brought a whole bunch of chimes in. So we've got some beautiful wind chimes, got some nice bird feeders. We've got some great clothing and apparel, whether it's gloves or hats or aprons, different things that might be helpful for moms that like to be out gardening, and amazing selection of tools as well too. So if your mom or grandmother, significant other likes to garden, we have a lot of different options when it comes to tools and outdoor decor, chimes, bird feeders. Of course, there's always gift cards. They can pick out whatever they like, but some great plants that we've got in stock right now, and a whole bunch more coming for next week.
Okay.
A lot of fun stuff coming.
All right. Well, great. Let's go back out to the phone lines before we hit the bottom of the hour break. Brenda's joining us on the line from North Logan. Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. My question for Mark, I have 3 hydrangea bushes, and I just can't seem to get them to thrive.
You still there?
Did we lose you, Brenda?
Oh,
How do you?
Oh, there you go.
here I am.
Okay.
What do I put on those hydrangea bushes so that they're pretty purple color? And now that the snow has all melted, it looks like they're dead.
Yep.
I didn't do anything to them to prune them back. Should I have?
Now's a good time to prune some of the dead off, and we try not to prune too much in the fall because then you end up having to prune more in the springtime. And so usually we will prune them after they're done blooming, and then maybe a little bit of shaping in the springtime just to take a little bit of the winter damage off. But they should come back; they should be fine. What we've found with the hydrangeas is they like a little bit more acidic soil condition, and our soil is very high. The pH is really high. And so we use magnesium sulfate or aluminum sulfate on them, and those are both soil acidifiers. And with the magnesium sulfate, the magnesium actually encourages more bloom production as well, too. So I kind of like the magnesium sulfate. And what we do is we put 2 cups of the magnesium sulfate in a 5-gallon bucket, fill it up with water, 4 gallons or so you have a little bit of room at the top, and then stir it up really good. It will dissolve very quickly, and then water your hydrangeas with a gallon or 2 at least once a month with the magnesium sulfate. So once a month, mag sulfate to help drop that pH, and it will keep the colors of your hydrangeas true. And so if you've got a blue hydrangea and you don't acidify the soil, they will turn pink. If you have a pink hydrangea and you don't acidify it, they'll turn white. If you've got a white one and you don't acidify it, it'll turn kind of green. And so to keep those colors on those purple and blue and really deep pinks, we've got to acidify with either the magnesium sulfate or the aluminum sulfate or just standard soil sulfur. Sometimes we'll even throw some extra sulfur in there. It takes longer to do its job, but it will last a lot longer as well too.
Okay, now did I understand you? I am supposed to cut those dead-looking parts off?
Yes, you can start pruning, take the dead parts off, and as you're pruning, you'll see green tissue, and when you're hitting green tissue, then you can stop. And if you prune the hydrangeas too much, you'll cut all your flowers off. So you don't want to prune too much. Just take off the dead stuff, and then they should take off like crazy. It's a good time to put a slow release fertilizer on there as well too. Tree and shrub food. Something that's
wonderful.
That's going to take a little longer.
I just got back from Kentucky, and their hydrangea are just big and beautiful right now.
Yeah. It's not.
So I want some like that too.
It's not fair, is it?
No, it's not. But thank you so much. I appreciate your advice.
Oh, you're
Bye.
so welcome. Thanks for calling, Brenda. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Well, that takes us to the bottom of the hour, and we have plenty of time to take more of your calls. 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868. Talk more about gift ideas from Mom. Talk more about frost damage and some of the weather that has impacted a lot of the growers over the last week. And as we look ahead to this next week, a lot of plants can start going into the ground, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a minute as the Garden Guide continues here on KVNU.
I'm Bill Walter, KVNU News. This summer, the Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce is assuming full responsibility for the Summer Citizens Program. On KVNU's For the People program on Thursday, Chamber President and CEO Jamie Andrus said that currently they have about 550 individuals registered for the program. She said a lot of residents and especially businesses don't understand who they are and what they're doing and the economic impact that the visitors bring to the valley, even though the program has been around a long time.
So I'm so excited to tell you that these summer citizens come here from the warmer climates. So imagine you live in the Phoenix area and it's July. It's really hot there, and they're looking for cooler weather. And, they're going to be coming here in a couple of weeks, so they're going to be in their parkas when they first get here.
However, she is confident they will be shedding those coats shortly after they arrive. About 24 U of U students walked out during the start of commencement at the Huntsman Center. The protest started Thursday when University President Taylor Randall stepped up to the podium and began speaking. Around 1 to 2 dozen people stood up, turned their backs, and started walking out. Some shouted as they left the arena, yelling, among other things, "Free Palestine." The disruption was met with boos from the crowd. It was the third day of demonstrations on campus leading up to commencement exercises. Snow in the mountains, winter storm warning in effect starting 6 a.m. Sunday for the mountains, and then a nice day on Saturday into the low 70s, but rain showers on Sunday. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
From ABC Sports, I'm Mark Remillard. The Mavericks are moving on.
7 seconds to go, and the sellout crowd on its feet. 13 years since they could celebrate a postseason series clinching at home, and the Dallas Mavericks have taken out the Los Angeles Clippers in 6 games.
The final call on ESPN, the Mavs closed out the Clippers 114-101 to advance to the next round of the NBA playoffs. Kyrie Irving led all scorers with 30 points. He spoke after the game about clinching the series on their home floor.
AAC was definitely rocking. I remember Maxey hitting, I think, a 3 tonight, and I had never heard it that loud in there. So it's just to see the fans' reactions, to see them appreciate the game of basketball and also their home team, it feels good and you feel right at home.
The Mavs will face the top-seeded Thunder in the next round. In Orlando, the Magic forcing a winner-take-all Game 7, beating the Cavaliers 103-96 despite 50 points from Donovan Mitchell. Magic forward Paolo Banchero after the game on how the team lifted each other up.
I thought we just did a great job. Everybody, all 15 guys just sticking together. It was a lot of communication every time out, every huddle. And, it was just a special moment.
Game 7 in Cleveland on Sunday. To the NHL playoffs, the Canucks got it done in Nashville and are moving on.
Left circle, Forsberg into the slot, throw to the goal, stop by Sheilov, rebound for Sissons, held it out, Nyquist shoots. What a save! 4 Canucks falling across, it stays out of the net. Now Yossi high slot, 2 seconds left, he misses the goal, and the Canucks have won the series.
On SN 650, Pew Suter's goal was enough to give Vancouver the 1-0 win. They'll face the Oilers next round. In Vegas, the Golden Knights beating the Stars 2-0 to force a Game 7 in Dallas on Sunday. I'm Mark Remillard, ABC Sports.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Warmer temperatures have both weeds and grass competing for space in your yard. Dandelions, thistle, clover, morning glory will all be kept under better control when you have us applying pre-emergence and weed control. At the same time, we can feed your grass to make sure it wins the battle and keep it lush and growing all season long. Regular visits from the lawn doctor will help your lawn be healthier and pest-free.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, at 753-LAWN. Follow them on Facebook or go to LawnDoctorCashValley.com.
From gardening to landscaping, it's the Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
8:38 now on this Saturday morning, already sitting at 40 degrees outside the KVNU studios. And as Bill was just mentioning, we're heading into the low 70s today. Just to kind of put that in perspective, we have not been in the 70s.
A balmy 40 degrees outside.
For a week. Yeah, so definitely going to help not only your soil temperature finally get back up again,
yes,
but I think probably everybody in this valley has mow your lawn at the top of the to-do list today because over the last 2 weeks with all of the moisture we've had, wow, it's
growing
just
like crazy.
taking off.
Growing like crazy. So it rained over an inch last weekend, and so I haven't water. I haven't even turned the sprinklers on yet.
Yeah,
I haven't
there's
even
no
charged the
reason
system.
to have it.
And then we're supposed to get another inch, like
this
Sunday,
next week.
Monday. Yeah, and so that's like another week before we even have to turn the water on. So take advantage of it. It's really nice. I haven't had to water my garden for like 3 weeks either. I was just doing a little bit of spot watering with some soaker hoses just for my peas and onions and carrots. They got a little dry there in mid-April, so we did a little bit of watering. But since then, haven't done anything. They've been fine.
Well, not only is the grass just Green, I always joke this time of year. This is my favorite time of year because this is the one time when my yard looks as good as everybody else's. and the problem though is that as I do go around the neighborhood, it hasn't hit our yard this year because we had sprayed so aggressively in years past and kept the dandelions down.
Yeah.
But they are everywhere else.
Everywhere.
And so for people that see those dandelions cropping up, you don't want to just let those go because one dandelion today means you're going to have 20 dandelions eventually.
Yeah. Have a lot of people that like the dandelions because their bees like them too, so they'll just kind of let them bloom and do their thing, but they do spread seeds all over, so then you get a lot more. So there's some really good options for dandelions, and I've got on my list of things to talk about today. Weeds is like at the top of the list because the weeds are out of control, and so I guess it wasn't last weekend, but it was the weekend before we really got after our weeds because there was a lot that popping up around the garden and the flower beds, and just it was time to really get some grass under control as well too. So we sprayed. And I did the patio, and I did in front of the shed and in front of the barn, and we really knocked all those weeds down. But we used a pre-emergent out there as well, too, so that's going to stop all the new ones from coming up. But there's a really great pre-emergent you can use on your lawn, and so it won't hurt your grass, and it's mixed in with a really good broadleaf herbicide to control dandelions and clover and mallow and thistles and even morning glory. And you can spray that on your lawn. It will kill the weeds that are out there, but then it has a 6-month pre-emergent mixed in with it that will stop new seeds from coming up. And so you can prevent all those dandelion seeds that are blown over from your neighbor's house, and you can prevent all the morning glory that's coming in from the vacant lot out back, and it will kill the seeds as they germinate for the rest of the season, because 6 months is like May, June, July, August, September, October. By then we're not going to have any seed germination, and it does an amazing job at killing the weeds that are there and preventing new ones from coming up too. And the active ingredient's called Gallery, and the Gallery works on all these broadleaf weeds. So if you put like a pre-emergent on for crabgrass, to start the season off with, early April or whatever, it will work on crabgrass, and it works on foxtail and goosegrass and Dallas grass, a whole bunch of weedy grasses, and it kind of works on some broadleaf weeds, like spurge and chickweed, knotweed, things like that. But it doesn't work on dandelions or morning glory or clover or anything like that. It very well. It kind of suppresses them a little bit, but they'll still come up. This particular pre-emergent, the Gallery, it will stop all those broadleaves.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's totally safe to use on your turf. The Gallery by itself is also safe to use around a lot of ornamentals, and it will kill the seeds, but it won't affect the existing plants. So it's super, super effective if you're really getting a lot of weeds that are coming in right now to control those weeds and stop new ones from coming up. So super, super product to use on your lawn right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's answer some more calls. We have Gordon joining us on the line from Newton. Gordon, welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Doing great. How about you?
Great today.
Everything's good. I'm almost a little bit caught up on a few things, so life is good. I do have a question. So not this week, last week, just before all the storms, we had when you guys came out and did the soil sterilant, and he did it on Wednesday, and he came early in the morning. It was beautiful and sunny, and I'll tell you what, he was meticulous and careful, and then we had all day long the sunshine, and then the skies opened, and it rained. As you know, it rained and rained and rained. Do I need to go back and have that done again?
No, it should work still. And most of the herbicides are rain fast within 30 to 60 minutes. And so they won't wash off. And at Logan Extermination, we use the Nano Boost, and we've talked about Nano Boost on the show before. Yep. And the Nano Boost makes it rain fast in about 15 minutes. And so so if you had all afternoon, no problem. Yeah, no problem.
All right,
no problem at all.
And it's out of my driveway, so the issue is goat's head, and goat's head takes a while, even if it's working. And so I've been kind of watching, and it looks a little wilty, but it takes a while to knock it out. So
it does. And with the Nano Boost and the right herbicide, cooler, wet temperatures, it's going to slow things down. But usually within a week, you see everything starting to die, and that's what happened with our weeds too. We did a little bit of decimate in with it. It makes it react a little bit quicker. But But if they're using it kills all, then you don't see it happen quite as quickly. But it will still knock those guys out. So. Yeah,
okay.
No problem.
Yeah, he was a little nervous about spraying, and I said, it's beautiful. I think we're going to have a day of sun.
Yeah.
And had a full day, and I thought we're probably okay here.
You're in good shape. Yeah, you're in good shape. So
well, good.
usually
and the good thing is I had just got my humates and my fertilizer put down before the skies opened, so those got watered in nice, and I had overseeded a few spots on the lawn that needed overseed, so. I just loved watching all that come down for a few days.
That's great. Yeah, and the grass is growing like crazy, and so getting that fertilizer on is perfect. And today, if you have not fertilized, would be the best day to put a fertilizer on.
Oh yeah,
because it's going to get watered in. Yeah,
with all the rain that's coming.
So it really won't get any better. So yeah, you got anything else planted in your garden yet, Gordon?
I don't really have a great garden spot anymore. When our neighbor's house got sold, I lost my big garden spot, and so I do a little bit, but not very much. So
darn it.
So far, I've been lucky to stay ahead of the lawn. But
yes.
So I do have a question. When you're talking about the gallery for the pre-emergent,
right?
If I have overseeded, will that affect the new grass if I put down some pre-emergent with the new grass coming up?
The gallery is pretty gentle on new grass, but it's still one that we tell people wait till you've mowed the new grass, excuse me, 2 times before you put the pre-emergent on, just to be safe.
Okay.
Just to be safe. But the gallery is pretty mild for the new grasses, but if you get on a little too heavy, it could burn. Unfortunately, if it's got the other weed killer mixed in with it, you got to wait till you've mowed it twice anyway, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. We'll do that then.
Super.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Thanks for calling this morning, Gordon. Have a great weekend.
That opens up a phone line, 753-5868 and 1-800-369-5868. If you're out of the valley, you want to call in with a comment or a question for Mark here during the Garden Guide on this Saturday morning. Talking earlier about plants and with the weather that we've got and the rain that's going to be coming in, there are some plants that you could drop into the ground, seeds that you could start. We were mentioning corn earlier. Be easy to put some corn in because it is going to take a week and a half, and by then we should be out of that possible frost window.
Exactly. So we're kind of at that transition point where we're shifting from the cold crops into the warm crops. And I had somebody in yesterday that they were like trying to figure out which variety of corn to get, and they ended up buying a pound of corn, which is a lot of corn. So for most varieties of corn, a pound will do about 500 linear feet, so it'll do a lot.
Yeah.
But they bought a super sweet, so I encourage them to buy Nirvana, which is my favorite bicolor corn, and it'll cover 800 linear feet. Yeah, so it's like that's like a couple pickup trucks full of corn.
Full of corn.
So that's all right. That's all right. But corn, we could start planting corn, especially if it's taking 10 days to come up. That's going to put you in the middle of May. Beans are a little bit quicker. It just all depends on what Mother Nature throws at us. So if you're willing to take a chance, you could absolutely go after doing a little bit of planting and maybe get a head start on some of those. But we did see a lot of people coming back in this week that had lost tomato plants and other plants to the frost on Wednesday, Thursday. So just be aware that we've got some cold weather coming still. And trees are in full bloom, especially crab apples. And so this is a good time to also mention time to prevent for fire blight. So we definitely want to prevent for fire blight. So while they're in bloom, especially with all these storms, with all the rain, we want to spray for fire blight. And then all the peaches and nectarines and apricots, all the blossoms are coming off of those. Also a good time to spray disease control to prevent shot hole fungus, corinium blight, peach leaf curl, bacterial blight, a lot of those diseases that will affect the fruit right after it's formed. So good time to spray for disease on stone fruits. Good time to spray for fire blight prevention on crab apples and pears.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Neil's joining us on the line with a question here on this Saturday morning. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
A couple of years ago, we have it's about a 25-year-old long needle pine tree. It started looking like it was a little bit sick, so last year I did the drench around the roots.
Yeah.
And I don't notice a lot of difference this year, so should I do the drench again or try some other kind of treatment, or I don't know, does it get to a point where you just call the patient dead and ready to cut it down, or what do you do?
It depends on what is afflicting it. So the drench works really well on insects. So if you have had insect damage that has caused it, the drench will be very helpful, and it does not hurt to do that multiple years in a row. Like say you had bark beetle or Ips beetle that have gotten into your pines, it will stop them, and the tree might take a couple years, but it'll start to heal. And correct the damage that's been done to them. So that would be a good place to continue. I would also recommend you put a little fertilizer or micronutrient package in with it as well to encourage some new growth. And so we've got to get some new growth out there to try and repair the damage that's been done to the trees if it were insects. It could be stress related. There are a few diseases that affect the trees, but usually it's environmental or insect damage, and so it sounds like you're doing the right thing, Neil. I'd probably do another drench like right now, as soon as you can, and then do like a nice slow release fertilizer in with it. Like the Tree Feast from Bicor would be excellent, or if you want to do a granulated slow release fertilizer, the tree and shrub food from Fertilome will last 3 to 4 months. So you put that on now, it'll feed them for the whole summer. So there's some good options out there for you to feed it and to do that insect drench as well.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, and I hope your tree comes back out of it.
I do too.
Yeah. Got my fingers crossed for you.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Neil.
All right, still 9 minutes. Still time to take another call. If you have a question or comment for Mark, 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. You mentioned we were talking and joking about dandelions, and yes, it's true. Yeah. Bees love them. In fact, I joke. I tell my neighbors, I think the bees in our hive spend more time in my neighbor's yard than they do actually in our yard.
Which is a good possibility.
Yeah, which is perfect. But one thing that we do have, and I just have not been able to get it killed, is clover.
Yeah. And clover's tough.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
just one of those plants where you spray it, and it just says, "Oh no, you don't," and it'll even start to wilt, and then it still comes back. And so, is there a certain spray that just really can knock down clover?
There is. So we've got a couple products that are very effective at some of the harder to kill weeds. So this past week, I've had homeowners in looking to control wild violets and snake grass, which is the jointed horsetail rush, really difficult to control, and Star of Bethlehem and grape hyacinths. There's some really difficult to control weeds, and clover kind of falls into that category as well too. And one of the best products for that is to make sure and use a surfactant. So we usually will recommend either the spreader sticker, the herbicide enhancer, or the Nano Boost that we were talking about, along with a specific herbicide that's called Spurge Power. And the Spurge Power is a little more potent herbicide. It works on some of the hardest to kill weeds that are out there, and it does an amazing job at killing clover and wild violets and thistles, and then all those other weeds that we've already mentioned as well too. So Spurge Power. Yep. And it doesn't work as fast as some of the other herbicides where you'll spray it and like the next day you'll see things curling up. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but as long as you get that surfactant in there, so the herbicide enhancer from High Yield is awesome, and I love the Nano Boost. Both of those make them work 2 or 3 times more effectively.
Okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. Well, let's go back out to the phone lines. Kim is joining us on the line from Smithfield. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I have a question on my rhubarb plant. It gets really big, but the bottom 2 inches is red. The rest of the stalk won't go red.
Yes.
And then it gets a lot of seeds.
The seeds
Does it need something special?
Yeah, going to seed is usually a stress issue, and hopefully this year we won't have that same problem because it's been so wet. It should be in great shape. Some varieties tend to be a little more green than others, and so it might actually be the variety of rhubarb that you've got. As far as I know, there's nothing to get the stems to go more red. I mean, there's a possibility it could be lacking a micronutrient of some sort. And so to use a product like combo chelate on it, you can just mix it up in water. You just mix it up in water and then water it with it. It will keep it it'll keep it really healthy that way. It's got a nice package of micronutrients in there for the rhubarb. They like really well composted manures. So any type of compost that has manure in it that doesn't smell like poop anymore would be excellent to work around that. Make sure it's old enough that it doesn't smell anymore. But the combo chelate has all those micros in there that should help if it's a micronutrient deficiency. Otherwise, it might be time to try a new rhubarb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
right now it does have a lot of seed that's starting to come on it
already.
This early.
Yeah, see, that's kind of unusual.
Yeah, especially this early in the season.
Yeah, and so I would think about maybe replacing that. I've got a couple of varieties at the store that are really, really red, and probably the best one is called Crimson Cherry, and the stems are red all the way through. It's a really nice variety.
Oh, all right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, Kim.
All right, and we have Kathy joining us on the line next. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you. Okay, I have just the opposite problem. I am trying to get my clover to grow, but I don't want my dandelions.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And we've got a lot of people that are kind of replacing their lawns with like clover, so it's becoming a little bit more mainstream. And there's nothing that will kill the dandelions without killing the clover. You'd have to just spot treat and be really careful. But if you go with just like plain old 2,4-D, it does a good job on dandelions, but it doesn't quite kill the clover. It makes it look bad, but it comes back. And so you could go to a more mild formulation of a broadleaf herbicide. It probably won't take out the clover, but it'll get the dandelions. And then I do have some really great tools that are superb at extracting dandelions without getting the other stuff around them. So there's the Grandpa's weeder that's awesome, and then I just love the long-handled weeders. Those work great as well too. So you could physically do it as well too. But other than that, there's not too many options.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kathy.
Good luck
with your clover. Yeah, so not too bad. Oh, darn it, the show's just about over, so we might be able to get one more caller in. Will's grabbing the phones really quick, but I just wanted to remind you all, compost tea is brewing right now, so we've got actually probably over 300 gallons of compost tea that are consistently brewing each night, and so we have a nice selection of compost tea if you're ready to get going on our compost tea refill program. Do you want to get one more call in?
I think we can squeeze one more call in. We've got a quick question about peach trees. Go ahead. You're on the air.
You were saying that we need to spare peach trees because they're stone fruit?
Yes.
So do you spray them with garden floss just like you do the apples, or do you spray them with something else?
You could use the garden floss for sure, but you can use like copper sulfate, copper soap, any copper fungicide, the F-stop. But right after the blossoms drop off is when the diseases kind of affect the fruit, especially shot hole fungus and crinium blight. And so right after those blossoms drop off is an excellent time to try and control those diseases. And garden floss should work great if you're spraying for fire blight at the same time. So,
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling this morning.
Okay, have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
We didn't mention it at the bottom of the hour, but there is a lot going on at Anderson Seed and Garden. And if you're just joining us, the Mother's Day scavenger hunt is going on now through next week.
Yeah, not through next week, just through today.
Just through today.
Okay. So you can start at the Arch on Center Street, and it kind of takes you through a whole bunch of downtown businesses, and all through downtown, not just on Center Street, but all through downtown. And if you complete the scavenger hunt, you'll be entered in to win our grand prize prize, which is about a $900 value of a whole bunch of prizes put together from all the amazing businesses that are participating in the scavenger hunt. And I don't want to tell you what the prizes are because it will give away the scavenger hunt. So we've got some amazing supporters of downtown with all these businesses that have participated. $900 prize, and it's for Mother's Day. And don't forget, the roses came in this week, too.
Yeah, perfect for Mom.
500 roses.
All right, and we hope you join us again next week for the Garden Guide here on KVNU. And in the meantime, if you missed part of the show, you can hear it again at our podcast library, kvnutalk.com.
Keeping you informed 24/7. News Talk KV.